Intro to Biochemical Cycles. So what is a biochemical cycle? It's a term that sounds really hard and really complicated, but it's really not. It is elements, so things broken down into the simplest form. I think we have 118 of them. They are on the periodic table. Some of them are like oxygen, hydrogen, nitrogen. So they're elements that are moving between living and non-living forms in locations called the biosphere, and that's geochemical cycle. So biogeochemical cycles are important to living organisms, including water, which include the water, carbon, nitrogen, phosphorus, and sulfur cycles. So if you think about it, water has two elements in it. It's hydrogen and oxygen. We know that we breathe in 75% nitrogen. Sulfur cycles, sulfur and phosphorus are important in the soil to help trees and plants grow. So all the elements are extremely important for ecosystems and for life on Earth, and we're going to be talking about further why that is important. Introduction. What is your body made of? Not to put too fine a point on it, atoms. Lots and lots of them. About 7, I don't even know how to say that number. 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0. It's a lot. So it would be 7 times 10 to the it would be 7 times 10 to the 27th. Where did all these atoms come from? If we really walk it backwards, most of the elements that make up our bodies and those of every other living thing were born in dying stars billions of years ago. That's pretty cool, but it doesn't capture the whole picture. What have atoms in your body been doing more recently during their time on Earth? So all living things are basically stardust. I think we've talked about that in class before. Energy flows, but matter is recycled. I don't remember if you remember talking about this last time, but we talked about how energy cannot really be recycled. It comes into the earth as light and it leaves the earth as heat, but all the atoms and elements are constantly being recycled around our earth. So energy flows directionally through Earth's ecosystem, typically entering in the form of sunlight and exiting in the form of heat. However, the chemical components that make up living organisms are different. They get recycled. What does that mean? For one thing, the atoms in your body are not brand new. Instead, they've been cycling through the biosphere for a long, long time, and they've been using part of many organisms and non-living compounds along the way. So compounds are 2 or more elements put together. You may or may not believe in reincarnation as a spiritual concept, but there's no question that atoms in your body have been part of a huge number of living and non-living things over the course of time. So what they're saying is the atoms in our body perhaps could have been part of other animals or plants or any other thing within the earth. So we're just constantly being recycled. So if you guys take a look at the image of the earth that has producers, consumers, and decomposers, they show how heat and energy travel through the earth. So it says in this image, the flow of energy is shown in yellow and red arrows. So you can see it comes in directly from the sun as light, and the red arrows show that it's leaving in as heat from producers, consumers, and decomposers. The green arrows show the continual recycle of chemical nutrients. So as you can see, the difference between the two is that energy is coming and going, whereas chemical nutrients are staying within the earth. They are just constantly getting recycled throughout the entire earth. There's not a time where they are leaving or coming in. They are just getting recycled around and around and around. The 6 most common elements in organic molecules are carbon, nitrogen, hydrogen, oxygen, phosphorus, and sulfur, and they take a variety of chemical forms. They may be stored for long or short periods of time in the atmosphere, on land, in water, or beneath the Earth's surface, as well as in the bodies of living organisms. Geologic processes such as weathering of rocks, erosion, water drainage, and the subduction or the spreading of continental plates all play a role in this recycling of materials, as do the interactions among organisms. The ways in which an element, or in some cases a compound such as water, moves between its various living and non-living forms and locations is called the biogeochemical cycle. This name reflects the importance of chemistry and geology, as well as biology, in helping us understand these cycles. Which biogeochemical cycles are key to life? So which ones are essential to support living things and support life? So water. Water contains hydrogen and oxygen, and it is essential for all living organisms. The places of water cycle. This places the water cycle pretty high on a list of cycles that we care about. The hydrosphere, hydro meaning water, the set of places where water can be found as it cycles Earth, is large and diverse. Water is present as a liquid on Earth's surface and underneath the ground, as ice in the polar ice caps and glaciers, and as water vapor in the atmosphere. So all throughout the earth, you can see water in 3 different forms. You have solid, the liquid, and the gas. Water makes up more than half of our bodies, but humans cannot live by water alone. Instead, there are some other key elements that keep our bodies running and part of biogeochemical cycles. So remember, I think we've talked about this in class too, how a human can live 3 weeks without food, but only 3 days without water. So water is a key component to life on Earth. Carbon is found in all organic macromolecules, so super small molecules, and is also a key component in fossil fuels. Nitrogen is needed for our DNA and RNA, stuff that we talked about when we talked about our body structures, and protein, and it's critical to human agriculture. So agriculture is farming. So nitrogen plays a key role in our DNA and our RNA, so our body development and growth, and also agriculture, which is farming. Phosphorus is a key component of DNA and RNA, along with nitrogen, and it is used in artificial fertilizers in agriculture as well. Sulfur is key to protein structures and is released to the atmosphere by burning of fossil fuels. These cycles don't happen in isolation, so they don't happen on their own by themselves. The water cycle is a particularly important driver of other biogeochemical cycles. For example, the movement of water is critical for the leaching of nitrogen and phosphate into rivers, lakes, and oceans. The ocean is also a major reservoir holding tank for carbon. Though each element or compound takes its own route, all these key chemical nutrients through the biosphere, moving between the biotic living and the abiotic non-living worlds, and from one living organism to another. So once again, those key elements that we can see throughout all ecosystems are carbon, nitrogen, hydrogen, oxygen, phosphorus, and sulfur. And all of those have their own biogeochemical cycle, and they're happening at the same time, they're happening together, they're happening in the same place, they're not just all isolated. So they're occurring at the same time in the same places, and they are constantly happening. Those elements are all important to support life on Earth for all living things.